David Ornstein, the tier 1 journalist, the man that drops all the big bombers. And guess what? For Manchester United, that exactly hasn't happened. Why? Because he was the one that said at the beginning of the transfer window that Manchester United will be the busiest club in the window this summer. So what's gone on? Why haven't we signed enough players? Where is the marquee signing? Should we be worried? Should we start to panic? Or was this the plan all along? Where can I actually begin? It's been a while because Manchester United haven't really signed anyone of note. No marquee signing, no transfer battle, no long-winded, drawn-out transfer saga. And some people might actually think that is a good idea. That's a good way to go for Manchester United. Looking back at this transfer window, and yes, we can't really truly judge the transfer window until it's really completed and the transfer window is closed. Doesn't everyone think that this is a bit strange? Now, all the reputable people that I watch, Stretford Paddock, United People's TV, these type of guys are all coming out and saying, they're a little bit worried. It's getting concerning. Why Manchester United not sign any more players? We need that third midfielder, the one that's got the legs, the destroyer. I mean, it was supposed to be so different, wasn't it? What we were promised. Now, Manchester United themselves, did they brief the journalists? Did they do this by purpose? Because what's happened now is created so many more questions than answers. We're impatient as a fan base. Naturally, we want to see our club signing when we're watching other teams signing big players, beating us to transfer targets that we wanted. Now, lots have already been said of that, but it goes to show that yes, okay, you've had your number one signing that's gone to another club, your number two signing that's gone to another club. What are we exactly doing when a person like David Ornstein comes out and says that Manchester United are going to be the busiest club in the transfer window? We all going to naturally get excited. We're thinking, yeah, there's no better person to say this than David Ornstein. If somebody else said it, like a tier 4 journalist, a Samuel Luckhurst, nobody cares. Fabrizio Romano, yes, for whatever people might think of him, he is tier 1. He does come out with a lot of, really good news. But again, said really not much for Manchester United. Some of the German ones, at Plettigol, Florian Plettenberg, he's been really quiet for Manchester United. And in some instances, yes, you're right. I was thinking that it's great that a lot of the journalists don't know what's going on at Manchester United. With the recent news that Lewis Hall, the transfer was off, that inquiry was put to Newcastle about, a few weeks ago. That's what came out. So clearly that Man United have briefed the journalists quite late about it. If this is happening weeks ago, then why are we hearing about this now? What's then going on behind the scenes in regards to transfers? Why are Manchester United working hard behind the scenes? Because again, like I've said, all this is creating is a lot of confusion, a lot of panic, and a lot of anxiety that's building up. Now, as I've said, I'm not one of those that is going to go full-blown panic mode, because I reckon it is salvageable. Because if you're going to go by the premise that Manchester United should sign Premier League proven players, then they've already started their pre-seasons. They've already embedded in the Premier League. They can catch up. They can fit straight into the squad, because a good signing, an experienced signing, should be able to just plug straight in. I'm not one of those that thinks that it needs like a really big adjustment time. I guess you're signing for the biggest club in the world, the media attention, you got to find a new place to live and all these kind of external things that go into, beginning your career at Manchester United. However, when it comes to the pitch, the mentality should be there from day one. And it's different from when you're signing a young player, obviously, to when you're signing a more mature player in their late 20s. So my question is to Manchester United and to the fan base is, was this planned all along, or have we now dug ourselves into a hole where we're going to go into it a little bit too late, but it's going to be rapid signings? What do you think? Is this beneficial to Manchester United? Should Manchester United, who have already proven that we can sign players within 24 hours, that it's a good way of strategizing the way we're going to finish the transfer window? Or Is it that the well known phrase that Ferguson came out with many years ago and said there's no value in the market? So we should just then take a step back and think maybe we'll wait till January, because these are the questions now I'm putting forward. What do you think? Do you think that it's potentially a better thing to do and then to wait till January, a target that's basically got some more time on their contract rundown, or the players that we wanted, let's say a Baleba who has now come out as injured, who's a couple of months off, his value will go down. He won't have played much, so we sign him in January. And again, a situation with Real Madrid, will Mourinho's way of playing be successful? Will he create divisions in the squad? Some of their players want to leave. I mean, these are questions that I'm is now arising because I'm getting, on that kind of pathway to concern, basically. We need a left back. Luke Shaw, he's a great experienced player who can play the season. But again, looking at preseason games, there's always a worry that he'll come off. Mason Mount in midfield. Again, preseason Mason Mount, great. He'll play well, start the season well, but there's always that precaution because, again, in the PSG game, he's come off with a precaution. Is Santos experienced enough to take over the role from Casemiro? Kobe Mainoo will come back late, obviously. And again, the big question is that left side. We've signed Tinian Thompson. Is he that left wing player that we want? Young, slightly a little bit experienced in the Premier League with Tottenham? Or are we going to go back with Rashford? And that is huge for Manchester United if we do. I've just read recently that there's a reason why Barcelona didn't come out and thank him for his services, even though he did in that long message about who he was thanking. Will Manchester United supporters welcome him back? My thought process is that he will come and he's good for 10 to 20 goals and assists a season. It all depends on his attitude and his rebuilding of the connection with the supporters, because Marcus Rashford can very easily get fans back on side. He's a homegrown player. He's very well connected within the community. Will he use the situation, or will we just see a kind of prima donna type player who's come back and he thinks he's better than everyone else and deserves his chance? I don't know, but again, the reality that we have to face is that Manchester United could have him in the squad at the beginning of the season, or is it just a transfer ploy to get another club to come in for him? And I always say at the end of transfer windows, a lot of clubs will kind of make them signings then, because it's a lot easier to negotiate for one side because teams get desperate because they want players. What part of the window is best to negotiate at for both selling and buying clubs? And that's, ultimately what it is. It's the game that most clubs play because, yes, Man City have signed a lot of players. Tottenham have gone full blown and said, we don't want a relegation battle. We're going to overspend to the point where we are going to get really good players. But again, it's Tottenham. And if this blows up, they're in big trouble. Chelsea are signing players for the style of play of Xabi Alonso. They always sign players. They've signed Danny Welbeck, who potentially I was 50-50 for. But again, they've also signed Jordan Henderson. Why? Well established, experienced players to go with their crazy transfer system that they already have. And they've not gone for hugely kind of experienced players. I guess fair enough. They've got Morgan Rogers for a ridiculous price. But again, Liverpool haven't really signed. I'm pretty sure if you go into these Liverpool channels, they're all panicking because they've not bought anyone or anyone of real note. They've just signed Harujo and again an outcast from Barcelona. And then you've got Arsenal, who have another team. Don't really go out and buy marquee signings. They're the champions. They'll only add to what they've got. And yes, Bruno Guimaraes is a great signing. But will he improve that midfield? I think he will. And I think they'll solidify again a top free position. But it's very hard for a team to regain the Premier League after they've won it. Many few clubs have, and definitely they haven't. Even their great sides have never won the Premier League twice in a row. So, but again, you should expect Arsenal to do what Arsenal do have done every season and at least challenge up there in the top two positions. So, looking around at the other clubs, the ones that generally sell, well, again, not many clubs are going around doing much business. And this whole thing about who spent what, your negative net spend to your gross spend. Yeah, Manchester United is pretty tight at the moment. We've done about what, £40 million net spend after sales. I really hate looking at that figure, but I don't know. I mean, again, so I guess just like most people, I'm probably going to start expecting now these flash signings. And I guess we've got to look at who's left, and this is the confusion. Rodri's going to Barcelona. I don't think Tchouaméni. I've always thought Tchouaméni would be that type of combative player for Mourinho, but again, they would look like they were willing to let him go. Rodri would have been a perfect Mourinho player. I think, you know what, them not getting him, I think Barcelona have really upped to level big time, because that guy's going to marshal that midfield. And let me throw something else at Frankie de Jong. It could be an outcast now. Would anyone take him, or do we have too many similar players like Bruno and Tielemans like him, or should we just take a punt on him? You never know, and another player in his position. But again, we still need that combative player, and I've run out of options because the obviously main one would be Kone, but no one was going for Kone now. He's got a value on him of around about 45 million euros, but no one signed him. So what does that suggest? Is this something that again leads to me thinking that in the last couple of weeks of the transfer window, it's going to get frantic. Every club's going to be wanting to sign players, sell players, and that's when we're going to do our business. Is that a good strategy for Manchester United? We've done it under INEOS every season almost. They've went the long distance with the transfers. I mean, case in point was De Ligt signed him on the day we played the Charity Shield. Sana Le Mans, the season had already started, we lost points and signed him then. So ultimately, what this raises is more questions. What this raises is anxiety. What are we as a fan base expecting now? That's the discussion we should be having. I'm confident that Manchester United will end the transfer window with more players. Who those players are? Well, that is the biggest question of them all. Let's hope, let's wait, and let's see. Thank you very much for watching. And I guess I'll be back.